Hey guys, Ryden here, and welcome to Xeno Answers Questions for the 6K subscriber thing. Actually, we're at 6,200 now, so I guess I'm a little late on that. Normally, I do these videos even before, but I've just been so busy actually creating content lately, that I haven't even thought about it, and I've been having so much fun, which I think is an improvement, honestly. I've just been having so much fun with creating things, it's just been, you know, fun. Redundant, I know. But anyways, let's answer some questions asked by you guys for the 6,000 subscriber mark. First one comes from Bailey is Love, Bailey is Life. How's it going, Xeno? It's going really good. Better than it has been on YouTube in a very long time. Burning Karma says, would you rather listen to Felicia saying, "We've got trouble!" for 5 hours straight, or Winston Payne shrieking, "Objection!" for 3 hours straight? You aren't allowed to do anything else while listening to it. Well, are they next to me? That's the question. Because, eventually I feel like Objection, because it's shorter, I could filter out to background noise more easily, but I would rather have Felicia next to me than Winston Payne, and I think a lot of people would, honestly, because, like, cute maid over, like, balding... I don't even know what his job is at this point in Ace Attorney, but he's there. Chime Randall says, what's your favorite food? That's too personal. Favorite smell? Yes, my favorite food is far too personal. No, if I had to really choose, I can't say a food, but anything you really put maple syrup on. I've been trying to cut down on sugar a lot, so it's been a challenge with my love of the flavor of maple. Like, I love maple donuts, maple everything, but if I had to choose, like, an actual food, I don't know. Colin Hutchinson says, what's your favorite clothing material? Cotton, but that also depends on where the cotton is grown, because cotton grown in different places can feel entirely different. Like, cotton grown way out in India or something apparently feels super soft compared to the kind of rough stuff we get here in America, so... yeah, that's it. Danielle Hellman says, if you could choose to erase your memories of one game just so you could experience it again for the first time, what game would you choose? I wouldn't choose any of them, honestly. A lot of the games I've played in my life are super time relevant to when I played them. For example, I would hate Kingdom Hearts today if I started it. The cheesiness and corniness of, like, no, we have to defeat the darkness. And just the Disney characters everywhere from Disney movies I've never watched before, I would loathe it. Like, what is this garbage? But, because I played it when I was young and played Kingdom Hearts 2 around 13 times over again, I love it. I've kind of fallen out of love with it, and Kingdom Hearts 3 Collector's Edition or whatever is sitting right behind me, but a lot of the games I played just happened to show up in the time I played them. Like, for example, Dante may have been cool when I was, like, 8, but now that I'm older, I'm not sure if Dante is so much cool as old school cool, you know?
Are you going to the party? What's the hurry? Didn't you get an invitation?
Do you play any board/card games? If so, what's your top 2? That's a good question, actually. I don't play a lot of, like, board games. I would love to do, like, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff eventually on the channel, even if it was just, like, a little short fun thing. But if I had to choose a specific one I like Kingdom Death Monster quite a bit. It's a very brutal board game where you can lose characters all the time, and I just love it. The gameplay loop in it is addicting. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of friends to play it with, and I've had people ask me to join... I think I've had 5 different Dungeons & Dragons podcasts contact me and be like, hey, would you like to join our thing? It's weekly, and I'm like, I don't really have time for that, sorry. And I'd rather just sit down and play with friends, even if it wasn't for, like, a YouTube thing or anything like that, you know? I think friends would make, or at least one friend out of a group, makes the experience a ton better. Elijah Eugene says, do you see yourself pursuing YouTube in the next 5 years? If by pursuing you mean, like, quitting me doing anything else and just going straight for YouTube, no. But if you mean pursuing as in working towards it so maybe you can do it full time. I've been doing that since day one. No, that's a lie. That is completely a lie. But I've been doing that for the past 2 years, because that's my goal. If I was able to do YouTube for a living, I'd be super happy. Like, I love it. There's nothing else like it. Of course, there's, like, other hobbies I have, which I'll probably have to answer in later questions. But as far as, like, what I'd like to do, I think this beats everything, honestly. It's just gonna take a lot of work to get there, because I showed up late to the LP party here. And, it's a lot harder now than it was years and years ago, but, like, the first best time was in 2012 or something, 2010. The second best time is now, as people say. Moderately Entertained says, okay, well, since you don't get too many questions, I'll give you 5. I'll answer 1. What is your favorite type of character in stories? And what... Well, I guess I'll answer the second one. What is a character type you like to see more of in certain stories, like personality-wise, appearances, and or type of character development? So, if I had to choose what my favorite type of character in a story is, it would be the one that has a lot of depth. And I know that's a very obtuse descriptor for what my favorite type of character is, but let me explain. I love characters that you can hear them talk and talk and talk, and you don't get bored of them because they have so much to say and so much to bring to a conversation, and that goes on 2 ends of the spectrum. One of my favorite examples of this is Ellie from Xenogears. Ellie is basically a soldier that suffers from PTSD due to her very corrupt government giving her a drug called Drive. This drug caused her to kill 2 of her classmates and injure, I think, 3 or 4 more of them. And throughout the story, that haunts her. That subject matter is dark, but that's not what makes it interesting. Just because someone lashes out and kills someone does not make them an interesting character. What does is how they resolve that. It takes Ellie a long time to get over this. You even see her doing what drug addicts will do and resorting to using the drug to not have to deal with the stress of murdering people. She uses it all the time because it helps her feel better. On top of this, she comes from a nation called Solaris, which she is called Solarian for that, and was taught that everyone down on the planet Earth, as I'm basically going to say it, is inferior to them. So in one story, you have this character dealing with extreme PTSD, a drug addiction to try and cope with that PTSD, and a complete cultural mindset that everyone that is not of her race is below her. This is what depth to a character means, and this is why attaching one singular trait onto a character has been kind of Fire Emblem's problem from game 1 to 15. But there's also the other end of that spectrum. I also love Spice and Wolf, and Holo and Lawrence from Spice and Wolf. They're not very dark characters at all. In fact, that series, well, it isn't always happy-go-lucky, it's really bright, and just listening to them banter with each other over and over again, Holo's playfulness and Lawrence's willingness to go along with that playfulness, their character dynamics are just amazing, and I never get tired of them. So, yeah, once again, if I had to choose a character type I'd like to see more in stories, it's characters with depth. Not a lot of characters, but less characters who are explored more thoroughly. Free Dragoon says, what hobbies do I have outside of YouTube? I play guitar. That's about it. I played guitar for a long time, and I wanted to release music onto YouTube, but I lost the last song I made on my hard drive when it crashed, so I've been kind of holding that off for a while. I want to get back into it, but I just haven't had the free time. That's one of my hopes about doing YouTube full-time eventually, is I would be able to wake up and just do YouTube like I love, and then in my free time I could just create music, which would also go up on YouTube. And I would be just happy about that. But that's a dream at this point, and one that may never happen. King Gold says, I see we're playing RE2 Remake and haven't watched it to avoid spoilers, but now that I've gotten well past where you are, who's your favorite RE character and why? Bonus points if it's Claire for Flair or Ada Wong can do no Ada wrong. That's a good one. But anyways, if I just had to say appearance... If I had to just go off of appearance, I'd probably choose Rebecca Chambers because she's cute, and Rebecca Chambers is an awesome name. But if I had to choose like a character in universe I love, it's probably... I'm gonna have to say every form of Wesker, because earlier Wesker in RE1, his voice acting is so bad, it's hilarious, but in RE5 they gave him the sick suit and he starts teleporting around and doing some sick stuff, so... I gotta love him for that. He's an asshole, and I love it.
Is this? That's right. This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant. Chris? Stop it.
What is your favorite type of game, like RPGs or platformers, stuff like that? Also, have you ever played a Mario and Luigi RPG game? If no, would you consider playing it on the channel? What Fire Emblem-like games or series have you played before, and would you recommend them, or would you play them on the channel? That's a lot of questions. Okay, well, my first favorite type of game, once again, I'd still have to say is RPGs. I love the long, well-done stories, but I love well-done stories in almost anything. Least favorite I'd have to say is platformers. Like, one of those games I just will never like is Mario. Sorry to answer your second question like that. I've seen Mario or Super Mario RPG or whatever it is, and that looks amazing. There's so many cool mechanics in that game, but I just didn't grow up with the Mario universe, and it's just not my thing at this point. There's just a lot of Nintendo IPs, I guess I'd say, that I grew up without, and that a lot of people on this channel probably grew up with. So that's why I'm so far detached from them, which is interesting to see, because a lot of the people on my channel, or that follow me on this channel, did not own a Sony console when they were young, as where I did. So it's interesting, when I play Nintendo games, a lot of people already know what's going on there, but when I show people games that are mostly Sony exclusive usually, they're like, oh, this is so cool, I've never known about this, you know? It's really cool. And a game I'd have to recommend to people, I'd say Final Fantasy Tactics. If you have a PSP, or, that's a dumb question, you have a PSP. If you have an iOS device or an Android device, you can actually download Final Fantasy Tactics on your phones. And Final Fantasy Tactics, as I've heard, is one of the best told stories in Final Fantasy. It's kind of like RE4 I've heard with houses and stuff. And it is a planned LP for this channel eventually. I want to play it so badly. But so many things just come out one after another, and people have expectations, and I have moods I get into. It's so hard to play everything I want. Mega Nerd says, who is your favorite non-main character from any of the Tales games? And same question for Fire Emblem. If by, like, non-main character, you mean, like, not of the main party? I don't know. I'd probably have to choose, if I had to say non-main character, it's a hard tie between Aizen and Jade Curtis, because they're both just so cool, but so silly when you get them in the right situations, you know? Jordan Miller says, congrats on 6K, Xeno. As long as you keep putting out content, I'll keep watching. I've got 3 questions. Feel free to answer any, all/none. It's all good. 1, who is your favorite villain in any form of media, and why? 2, do you like Star Wars? If yes, why? If no, then why not? 3, plot or Aristotle. I'm just gonna answer the first 2. Who is my favorite villain in all of media? A lot of people, this is gonna be one that's controversial for people. But, I honestly really like, and I'm not gonna spoil who this is, but the culprit of the first Danganronpa game is just one of my favorite villains of all time. A lot of people do not like this person because they're like, so what's the reason though? Like, what's the reason behind the character? There has to be a redeeming quality that pulls his character back and makes me go, oh, I understand. And the answer is that there isn't really one. That character just does things because they want to. And that's a perfectly fine reason. That's why I also like the culprit at the end of Persona 4. So I'm not going to spoil that for people, but yet another character who just does things because they want to, and not because of like, oh, back when I was a child, you know, I dropped this plate of pizza on the floor and now I must eradicate anyone who's ever eaten pizza in the world. It's like, oh, what a tragic backstory. Like, no, we don't need that. Some people are just assholes, and that's fine. Let a character be an asshole. End of story. Mr. says, I'm not even going to say the rest of your name. When are you going to start Valkyria Chronicles 4 Let's Play? So, a ton of people have been asking this, and because it's so highly requested, I want to do it soon. But I just get into moods of what I want to play, and it's not like I don't even want to play Valkyria Chronicles. I still really am excited for it, and it's behind me, but I get into moods to do other things at certain times, and it just... I don't know. I'm so weird about how I want to play games. One day I'll wake up and be like, you know what I want to do today? I want to go play Final Fantasy XIV for a bit by myself. And other days I'll wake up like I did like a week ago and I'm like, oh, I could play XCOM. You know? I never know what's coming up next, but I promise you it will come within the next few months. Still, we've got games coming out like DMC5. I have so many things I want to play. I want it to come within the next 4 to 6 months at least. So, please be patient with me on that, because we have quite a backlog right now. Nate Hora says, what is your office/gaming/video setup? Like, what equipment do you use? I actually just built a new computer. There's a lot of wonderful specs in this. I kind of went overboard with it. But if you want to just know what I record with, I use a Focusrite Scarlett 6i6 interface, which is plugged into a Blue Yeti Pro amp via XLR. And aside from that, that's it. As for my computer, I have a... Oh god, let me try to remember the name of this. I have an AMD Threadripper, I think it's 2950X for the processor, or CPU. And for the GPU, I actually have a newly bought RTX... Is it 280? RTX 280, yeah. So, I really wanted to kind of future-proof this setup. Nightrouse says, what are your thoughts on Fire Emblem 3 Houses? I don't know, because I'm cutting myself off from all information about 3 Houses aside from that initial trailer I watched. But through what I've seen and heard, it's going to be very different, and I'm excited for that. I know a lot of Fire Emblem people are, or not Fire Emblem people, but a lot of people see things and they go, oh, that's different though, this is gonna suck. And, you know, that's the Fire Emblem player's very first reaction to ever have about anything. I have, in my entirety of being with this fan base as it's been going on, I've only been here since Fates, really paying attention to what this community says. But as far as I know, every single time anything is launched ever, it is a downpour of like, oh god, this looks like garbage. Every single time, so... I just don't listen to most of the Fire Emblem community, and I'll just wait until it shows up on my doorstep and I get to play it. That is all I can really say. The Eternal Composer says, what about your channel do you cherish the most? Is it making and recording the content, interacting with us, your subscribers, or doing these voices that will inevitably win you an Oscar? If only. No, it's hard to decide what is my absolute favorite parts. There's a lot of parts of this channel I love. One thing I guess I'd say is getting to experience a game with other people, getting to experience a story, and having people react to it the first time, or maybe the second or third time they've played this game, I don't know. But something about me having a reaction to a story thing and other people getting to see that reaction is really awesome. I also love introducing people to new and cool things. I like to think I'm kind of like passing on the torch. I don't know if this is kind of presumptuous of me, but I kind of grew up watching a lot of other LPers, you know? I watched Super Best Friends play. I watched The Rad Brad. This is when I was in like early high school, I want to say. And all these people were super huge and I always watched them and I'm like, yeah, I should try this. And now that there's people watching, it's cool because I get to show people things. I mean, do you know how many copies of Berseria I am pretty sure... I don't want to say my LP is sold because that seems kind of narcissistic, but judging by the amount of comments saying, oh, I went out and bought this game, or I went out and bought this game. Seriously, I think I've already seen over 15 new XCOM 2 players. So that makes me immensely happy to know that even if it's tiny, I have an effect on whatever franchise I play. And that's why I also have to be kind of careful criticizing things. There are some that I look back on like, it really wasn't that bad. And then there are some like Shadows of Lentio where I'm like, no, it was that bad. It's fine. Pecco, crying face, says, hey, what do you think about Queen's music? Well, you could say that anyone who doesn't like Queen is just another one bites the dust. Amerifin says, I have to ask a question for everyone else here, because we're all anticipating it. When's the next Cooking with Xeno? I actually can't think of any other questions right now. Regardless, congrats on 6K. The Dust Brigade is getting bigger by the day. Thank you. Never. So the thing about me is I actually don't have that great of taste. I rely mostly off of texture and very unique tastes, so cooking to me isn't that enticing of a thing to do. It's also why I love sweets, though, is because those have a lot of taste, or spicy foods, but generally, I don't really enjoy cooking that much. Reef Nightingale says, what are your favorite stories? Movies, books, games, etc. Which trope and stories do you like the least and the most? If you could speak one extra language fluently, what would you choose? Okay, so the last one, it's gonna sound super weeby, but I don't care. Japanese, just so I can play games early. That's all I want. And play games that they never released over here. Like, do you guys have... I bet everyone has a singular game that back in the day was released in Japan and never got pushed over here. For me, that is Fate Extra CC. If you ever get a chance, Japan, you could always remake a new one. For what are my favorite stories in movies, books, and games? That's a really hard one. But as for... I'll answer this in two. My favorite very long, ongoing story is probably The Wheel of Time. I love it. I just can't... If you haven't read The Wheel of Time, it is a super famous... fantasy series that is about 14 books long. It is just amazing. Although my only warning to you is that if you start reading it, the first book, in order to get published, it is a bit of a Lord of the Rings knockoff at the first. You start reading the first chapter and you're like, is this just the goddamn Shire scene? And while it may seem like that, trust me, it gets a lot better. And when I mean a lot better, it gets a lot better. Also, if you're only into TV stuff, they're actually making a Wheel of Time TV show funded by Amazon, so that may or may not suck. And which trope and stories do I like the least and the most? The one I like the least is redeemable, super redeemable villain. And the one I like the most... I think the one I like the most, honestly, is when a character becomes so strong that they just kind of learn how to fly. It's not really explained, but it just kind of happens. I don't know, I always find it entertaining. Sydney SMH says, who do you main in Smash? No one, because I actually don't like Super Smash Brothers, or Smash Ultimate, or whatever. I don't hate what it's about, I'm glad people like it, but for me, I can't get used to the controls. The characters move around at the speed of light, and I can't stand it. I need my grounded controls, like in Guilty Gear or Street Fighter, where even if they're dashing in the air, they're still pretty slow, and I can still kind of keep up with what is happening, because it's so zoomed in. But if I had to pick a character, probably either Bayo or Richter. Warren says, I was wondering, what was your first video game ever? Also, you're great. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I think my first video game ever, honestly, was Sonic, the original Sonic on the Sega Genesis. That's the first one that comes to memory. But if I had to say the first one that I finished and made a lasting impression on me was Legend of the Dragoon for the PlayStation 1, and that game will always have a very special place in my heart. Why did you start making videos? Said by Centurion Main. I'm pretty sure Centurion is a For Honor character, at least that's what it looks like. But anyways, I started making videos because, I don't know, I saw other people doing it. Like, a big influence was Christopher Odd at first, and then I kind of moved away from that because I realized I'm being someone I'm not. And now I'm just kind of me, and that's it. I don't really have a reason. I guess I just got really bored of coming home every day from high school and not doing anything. You know, I'd come home and I'd play a video game, and eventually that turned into, why don't I just film this? You know, and it improved a lot of my skills. Like, I could not do any other voice. I've never tried it before I started LPing, and now I can do tons of voices. And my speech skills also improved, which is constantly hampered by the fact that I've had to wear braces and now a retainer over the past year. That sucks, but yeah, I just started it because I wanted to do something and I found it fun. Anyways, that's all of our questions. Sorry if you asked a question too late or something, or maybe I didn't get it. I don't want to make this video too long, but thank you guys for 6,000 subscribers, and we're still moving along really quickly. And when I say really quickly, I mean really, really quickly in comparison. I'm super happy with where things are going, and I'm just kind of happy doing whatever I feel like right now. It's not like I'm constantly struggling to get the next viewer anymore. Like, we're moving forward. That makes me happy. And I did it. It mostly happened because of Awakening. So I'm hoping that the audience that came for Awakening isn't the same kind of audience that's just going to go, I only like Fire Emblem. If you play anything else, I'm not even going to watch it. And it's like, that's fine if you're that type of person, but for me, I need a lot of variety. So anyways, if you guys like the video, wait, no, I don't have to say that. You don't have to leave a like here. Don't do that. Never, or you can if you want. I don't know. becoming confusing. Anyway, see you guys in the next one. Right now.